In this lesson, we'll be looking at creating forms. So here we have a simple page with one column. I've already set the margin of the columns. It's just a little bit of margin, as you can see, all around it. And so now let's set up or put in all the form elements. So we click here to add a widget, and if you go to all the way to the bottom here, you have the form elements, and we're going to add a text field, and we're also going to go back down here and add a drop down, and then finally we're going to also add a checkbox, and to submit our form we'll add a button. Perfect. Okay, so this is what we'll need for our form, but let's just make it a little bit nicer so it looks a bit better. So in our drop down, let's put this checkbox next to it. So we wrap this up in a row, and then let's just bring this up here. So now we have them together. We click on the row and let's put them apart to get all on one side. We'll put them apart, and then we can click on the checkbox and put some margin on the side. So let's say 20, there we go. And then finally the button, the text field, we want them to take 100% of the space. So let's go down. Where are we? There's a width, 100%, and then the text field, same thing. We want 100%. Perfect. So here we have it. It's not the most beautiful, but at least it looks a little bit like a form already. So now let's just have a look at the different elements and what are the properties that can be changed. So the first thing is the text field. The text field is set up where you have a normal kind of alignment and padding that we can set at the start, but then after that it's just set up into three parts of text. So the first part is a text field, so the initial value that you put. So if we put in something like testing or name or whatever, these are the values that are actually in. So when we do the form, even if you click on it, you'll be clicking and changing the name. Often we want to keep this empty at the start, as this is not required. If we want to, we can change the different properties of this text. The second text element here is the label property. This I really don't use very often. So just to show you where it goes, it's this little label that goes on the very top. I don't think it looks very nice, so often I just leave it out. And then the last one, and maybe the most important one, is this part here, which is a hint text. So let's call this name. And so here you have a hint text, but when you click on it, it disappears and you can start writing your name. So I'd say the main ones to keep into consideration here are the hint properties, and at the top is the text field properties as well. Additionally, with a text field, what's important to know are these extra fields at the bottom. So here we have some stuff to change the different colors. You have error color. We'll show how to use the error a bit later on. And then here you have the icon property. So let's say we want to add a little search button at the very beginning. I know it doesn't make sense here, but just to show you how it works, you click here, search, boom. So now you have a little search thing here. We can add another one at the back if we wanted to, but let's just close this. So that's the icon property. And then the additional properties that are important to note are, for example, the password field. If we add this here, let's put this to 25, and then we have a little hide password so that you can write and not show it to everyone. Then after this, there's also the show clear field. So when you click on this, you have a little cross down here at the back. That's also quite useful. And then the last one is autocomplete. So if you want it to autocomplete, you can click here, and then you can put in some different options of autocomplete, and you can start writing your autocomplete. You can also link the autocomplete to the backend, so it can look for different elements that it can autocomplete with the backend. That's it for the text widget. Those are the most important parts. So let's go now to the drop down. With the drop down, you have here at the very top, you have the different options that you can set. You can add extra options. Let's just go for test 4, for example. Perfect. You can put the initial configurations for initial value that's shown here. You can put also a hint text here, and these are the most important elements again. I think there's just one last thing here, is this part here, the icon property. So you have this little arrow here, and you can change this with, I don't know, there's so many different things, but let's just put this here for now, just to show you how it works. But yes, of course, I think we will keep the little arrow. And then finally, there's this checkbox. This one, there's not huge amounts of configurations to be made. You can change the colors, and you can also change the initial value if it's empty to start with or not. Let's keep it empty for now. So that's it for these main 3 fields. I think they're the most important ones that you'll be using when creating any kind of form. But the last thing that's important with forms is in terms of the button submitting, making sure that it does work if there is data, and that it creates an error message if the form hasn't been completed properly. So to do this, the first thing that we want to do is in this container, we need to wrap this container up, this column up, sorry. So let's wrap it up, and we'll explain in just a second why. We want to wrap it with a form validation. Let's just say that we submit a form and it's all nice and it goes to the next page perfect, but if there's an error, someone's not posted the text, whatever, we want there to be an error message and for the user not to be able to go to the next page. Okay, so this is why we add this form here. Let's just call this form 1, perfect. And then here you have the text field and the drop down field. So this is a text field, this is a drop down. We'll show you later on how we can do the checkbox as well, but let's start with these two. So we just click on the text field here, we write the error message being please enter your name, perfect. And then there's a drop down. In the drop down we'll send it to alert dialog, and then value is error messages, please select one of the drop downs. Perfect. So that's that for the form, and now let's configure the button. So if you go back to the top of the button, go to actions, open the actions, and we add an action. Put the validate form, we select our form 1, perfect, and we terminate if validation fails. Perfect. And just one last thing, let's just add another page so it goes to another page, so just so that we can confirm if it's working or not. So navigate to columns and rows page. Perfect. Let's test this out. So we click on the lightning bolt here. Okay, so here we go. Let's first click on the button. Please enter your name. Perfect, that works. Let's put the name in. Click here. Error. Please select one of the drop downs. Perfect. Select one, and then awesome. It brings us to the next page. So now finally, let's just configure this little checkbox as well. So going back to our button, let's open the actions, and here we add another action, add a conditional action. So on this conditional action here, we go to the widget state. So it's the different widgets we have on the page here. And as you can see, there's 3 widgets, but the one we care about is a checkbox value. So you click on that, and here you have a true or false. So let's just cut this action here and we'll paste it in the true. Oops. There we go. And if there's a false, we'll add an action of an alert dialog, information dialog, and we'll put an error again. Please select the check box. Perfect. And so let's test that out. Let's go back here. So now let's fill in the name. Choose an option. As you can see, E should have been error. I misspelled that. But okay, it seems to work, and if I click on this, it works. So So that's it for forms for today.